Welcome back to the garage. Last video was the test drive. Very excited. Very excited to finally get the thing running and driving. Still have some quirks to work out. I'm still working through issues with the brakes. I have not had this much trouble with a brake system ever. This is the first brake system that I've designed myself, so that's probably a big reason why it's not awesome, but still working through that. So still have a few more things to try. It's kind of wet and soggy out today, so we're not going to be getting the buggy outside to mess with it. What I want to try next is see if I can get it up on a hill, get the backside jacked way up on a hill so it's higher than the rest of the system, and then we'll try and bleed it again. But I bled it countless times with vacuum bleeders, pressure bleeders, and I just cannot seem to get this last little bit of air out. So we've still got to work on that. But today I'm going to be working on just a few little nitnoid things that I need to start doing to get the rest of the finishing touches done, to call the buggy done, I guess you'd say. One of the things is the skid plates, the front skid plate. There's a part of the chassis that cradles the engine, has a bend in it. So I'm gonna have to try and bend the skid plate. So we'll see how that goes. It's made out of UHMW, which is like a super duper plastic, super strong plastic. Ultra high molecular weight polyethylene is what it stands for. It's a combination of super strong plastic and also abrasion resistant. So both of those combination of properties is what you want on a skid plate. You know, it's obviously strong, but it also will slide easily, kind of like Teflon surface friction. So I'll show you that today and see what we can do with that. The other thing that I'm going to do today is I got some fire extinguishers in. So I'll show you that. So that one's still in the box, but I got a couple of these little fire extinguishers to mount on the buggy. And these are the mounts that I have. They are like a quick release style. And the reason why I have two, thinking of mounting them on like this part of the tube right here. Right next to on either side, right next to, where the passengers sit. So as, if you're standing around, see a fire, you can get to the fire extinguisher from either side of the vehicle, and it's relatively close to get to if you're in the buggy. You can get out in a hurry on either side. You can, the idea being you can just grab the fire extinguisher that's on your side. So we'll get to mounting that today too. All right, so this is the front skid plate section that I was talking about. You can see it's pretty thick. It's like, I don't know, about an inch thick of this hard plastic. And right now, as you can see, it's straight, of course, but where it's going is underneath the engine right there. That's a section that goes on the under part of the engine cradle. It sort of cradles underneath the engine. So you can see the front section, there's a bend. The links are directly in the way for showing you that, but you can see, yeah, there you go. You can see that there's a little bit of a bend in that. It's upturned. So I'm gonna try, I think what I'm going to do is put it on and then, bolt it down and then see if I can take a heat gun to it and see if this stuff will bend with a heat gun. And the idea being, I'll just bend it up into position and then clamp it there and then let it cool that way. see how that takes. Update on the skid plate. I was able to bend it with the heat gun, but it kind of sprung back. So it wasn't really going to stay that way. I mean, I could have tried heating it up more, but I'm afraid to get this heated up too far and then it really melts. I should have done this before the powder coat, obviously, but it's something that slipped my mind and I forgot about it while I was fabricating everything. But what I ended up doing is putting a little weld nut in there, basically clamping this all together and then welding a nut in there. Obviously it's hard to get the welder in there, so it's not the prettiest of welds because, you know, the oil pan is right there, but I'm happy with that. I mean, it's in an inconspicuous location, so what I'll end up doing is I'll find the closest red I can and then paint it red, because I got to put paint on there anyway to keep it from rusting. So at least it's tucked way in there, you can't see it very well. And if you're wondering what I meant by weld nut, this is a weld nut. It's basically just a nut, but without the, normally nuts are coated with zinc, which is not very fun to weld with. You can get these weld nuts that are just mild steel. They're uncoated, so you can weld on them. And this particular one, you'll notice, has like a raised boss on the bottom side. It's normally meant to be welding to like a surface, like, you know, something flat, and then you'd be welding in here. That raised boss lets you penetrate into, you know, the side there. So these are pretty cool. You can get these from boltsandnuts.com. Boltsandnuts.com sells these in a bunch of different sizes, and they come in handy for stuff like this. And I was able to get the fire extinguisher mounted. So that's that. It's a quick release. You just pull on that, it comes right off. I ordered 2 mounts, but the other one got lost in the mail. So I ordered another one, and when that comes, I'll be able to mount the other one, but it'll just go in the same spot there. So that's pretty cool. All right, back at it today. I think what I want to do today is start getting the buggy looking a little bit more done. It's fun getting the test drive out of the way, but we're almost there as far as, you know, the major stuff to call, you know, the project done. A few more things to do. Obviously body panels and the other mount for the fire extinguisher came in today. So, not today, but it came in just the other day. So now I can get the other fire extinguisher mounted, and if we have time, we might try and put the cargo basket in too. So that's what's on tap for today. panels installed. Now it looks like a finished buggy. That's all I could get to today. I was planning on trying to get to the mounting the other fire extinguisher and also the basket, but it took me way longer than I thought it would to do the body panels. Ended up having to chase a lot of the holes with a tap. Just a little bit of powder coat got in there. The powder coater plugged all those holes. You kept a lot of it out of the threads, but it doesn't take much to get in there before the screw gets really tight. So just chased a lot of those with a tap, and I did the whole first side with a hand tap wrench, which is extremely tedious, before I thought to use a drill. So the second half went way faster. So that's cool. So we'll just get, probably do the fire extinguisher and the basket tomorrow. Starting with the fire extinguisher install today. So this is just quick release. This comes right off. That should be. So that's a handy feature if you're actually having to fight a fire. Get that off nice and quick. So it would make sense to see the gauge and to avoid clipping this on anything. Yeah, that's probably the most protected of the configurations. It's on there. So just like that. Or this one. Cool. All right, so there's the basket installed. Pretty cool. I got tie downs over here and some room right here to strap stuff down, but primarily I'm using this pack out system, which has this whole, Milwaukee makes this whole collection of accessories that you can engage that lock into this system, and it'll hold itself in place. Right now I only have toolboxes, but you can get coolers and stuff too. So here, let me show you. So here's an example of one of the toolboxes. You can see on the bottom side, it's got like the female end of that, or I guess it's the male end, and then this is the female end to accept another accessory. So you just put it on here. And it's locked in. And then you can put other stuff on top that have the same system. So I can put a cooler on top or another toolbox, which I actually have 2 of these toolboxes. So there you go, that's that. That's the accessories. Being able to primarily take tools and rigging and stuff, but coolers and food and whatever too. All right, new day. One of the last things I gotta do is mount the radio antenna. So I don't really have a whole lot of options. I've thought about coming up with something to mount it up here, but that's gonna be a lot more work than I really wanna spend. And also the downside of it up there is in a rollover, I'm gonna break it right off. Not that I'm planning to roll over, but you know, it's a possibility. So I think right here in the cargo basket is kind of my best option. Takes up a little more room in here, but it is what it is. I think, you know, I'm planning on using this system, this pack out system, for most of the actual storage, so I don't have to tie things down anyway. Now, this mount that it came with, that the radio came with, is magnetic. But obviously this basket is aluminum, so it doesn't stick. So what I'm planning on doing is, I think I'll make a little disc out of mild steel and then see if we can't screw it down. I'll just screw it to the actual aluminum and then it can stick to that. The only downside I can think of right now is the screws are gonna have to be flush, and I don't know if I have any countersunk screws. So I'm gonna have to look and see if I have any. Other than that, we might just get the disc cut out today and ready to be mounted, maybe painted, and then might have to do the rest of it later when I get some screws. All right, I made a cut program for this little disc that'll be the base for the radio mount. See what we can do. Starting point. Now we'll see if we can drill the counterbores, the countersinks rather. It's obviously smokier than normal. Normally that table's filled with water, but I don't bother filling it up when I'm only doing one cut. All right, we'll see if we can drill the counterbore here, countersink rather. I never had much luck drilling countersinks in steel. I'm going to try it by hand rather than the drill press just because I want to see how this is going to go. Every time I've tried this before, it just gets a lot of chatter. So we'll see. It's actually going pretty good. It's chattering a little bit, but not terrible. Try to hear the bulldozer in the background. Dad's on the bulldozer today. Close. close I can't get it back out. I like that. I'll give it a shot. So there's like a hose that goes right under, of course. Careful on the punch through. What do you think? Think it's gonna work? The holes are big enough, first of all. Cool. Just finger tight for the test fit. This would have been easier if I would have thought about this before I put this thing on. It sticks. Rather intensely, I might add. Oops. Yeah, I mean, that's on there. I mean, it's wiggling because the screws are loose, but this thing's not going anywhere. Strategically lined up with one of these holes for the cable. So this will obviously, I'm gonna clock this like that way for actually fishing it through there, but I think that'll work. I gotta paint it though, so final installation later. All right, that's gonna do it for this video. Got the body panels installed, got the cargo basket installed, and got the radio antenna installed. So those are the last little things that still had to be installed. The last thing I'm gonna do is mount the skid plate, the main skid plate. And then after that, just a lot of testing. When the weather cooperates, be driving it around. I wanna put it under different loads, drive it on hills and stuff, so I can gather a bunch of data for tuning. The engine is just a crate motor. It comes with a stock tune, but obviously it's not gonna be dialed in, so once I get everything tuned, then she's ready to rip. Still dealing with issues with the brakes. I'm just gonna kind of let that run for a while. The brakes are okay. They're not great though. I can push the pedal to the floor. It has decent stiffness, but it does take some pressure to push to the floor, but I can still push it to the floor. So I think we're just gonna drive it around and hopefully I can get air worked, and I'll just periodically keep bleeding it. And the other thing I might try is if we can find another way to get the tire really high in the air, I can try and get one bleeder higher than the rest of the system. We tried to do that on the hill, but it wasn't really steep enough. So keep messing with that, but other than that, just test it and see what it'll do.
So thanks for watching.